These train journeys are among the most epic and hardcore on the planet.
There's like ice picks stabbing at my stomach wall.
Taking people through the world's harshest environments.
No train has ever gone further north than this one right here.
Overcoming huge technical challenges.
But thank God the train's here. I don't know how you do this without it.
These trains are a vital link to remote communities.
People live along the tracks, so this is their only means home.
Sustaining a region's economy.
I've never seen so many cucumbers in one place in my life.
And even changing the course of history.
It's because of this line that the country feels united.
These are the world's tough trains.
This is Tough Trains Vietnam. Throughout history, Vietnam's railway system has provided a vital link between the North and the South, transporting both people and cargo. But this has repeatedly made it a target for attack.
During the Indochina and Vietnam Wars, the entire railway network was decimated many times over as people sought to destroy key supply lines.
These are the world's most bombed railways, still in recovery after years of war and underinvestment. Traveling on Vietnam's aging rail networks can be quite a challenge even today.
In fact, per capita, the percentage of deaths caused by trains here is the highest in the world. But in spite of all this, the rail network has become a real symbol of Vietnam's fight for survival. Since its construction, this railway has helped unify the country. It is the backbone of the Vietnamese nation. My first journey takes me from Dom Dang to the coastal town of Ha Long. I travel across its famous bay to reach the port of Hai Phong, from where I catch a train to the country's capital, Hanoi. From Hanoi, I join the Reunification Express line for 15 hours across the demilitarized zone to reach Hue. From Hue, I travel to Ho Chi Minh City, where I end my journey. Trains run the length of its 2,600-kilometer railway, and I'm starting my journey here at Dam Dang, at the border with China. It is the most important crossing between the two countries.
This is the gateway to the Friendship Pass, the traditional border between China and Vietnam. Over the years, the name has always changed to reflect the relationship between the two countries. Originally, it was the South Suppressing Pass, and then it was the South Watching Pass. And since the Vietnam War, it's remained the Friendship Pass.
The history of Vietnam in the 20th century has been shaped by war, and China had a big part to play. When the Communist North began to fight the French-controlled South in the 1940s, it kicked off 30 years of conflict, which didn't end until 1975, when the Communists finally took Saigon to reunify the country.
China was one of the biggest allies of the Communist coalition party called the Viet Minh, led by the revolutionary leader Ho Chi Minh. Formed in 1941, over the next 30 years, the Viet Minh waged war against the French, the Americans, and even their own fellow Vietnamese.
But the story of the relationship between Vietnam and China is best told through the railway line. Tim Darling is a British historian living here who specializes in Vietnam railway history.
It's the oldest railway line in northern Vietnam. And it's also special because over the years, since it was built originally in 1890, it's gone through a series of changes. So it's reinvented itself 3 or 4 different times.
By the start of the Vietnam War, this line became an essential military supply line from Vietnam's communist allies. But there was a problem. The gauge between China and Vietnam didn't match.
For about 10 years, there was a flow of shipments, military and other supplies, down to the border, and then of course they had to change trains loaded onto a 1-meter gauge train to get into Vietnam. Of course this was an issue they really needed to resolve. This was when a joint Chinese-Vietnamese project was launched to re-gauge the entire network. And so what you have here is the old French 1-meter gauge plus the standard gauge, which is consistent with the Chinese side of the border. That meant that trains coming from China carrying military and other supplies could go straight through the border. Very essential supplies during wartime. Basically, this was the main communication line into northern Vietnam. Of course, the rest of the country was cordoned off by seaborne attacks, airborne attacks by America. So it's a very special line in the history of the development of Vietnam.
Well, let's not miss our train, huh?
The train now runs on the standard gauge all the way to Kep. The Americans knew that war supplies were being brought in from China by train, and that the only way to defeat the Vietnamese communists was to destroy their supply line. Railways in northern Vietnam became the main target for air raids.
Spicy. Braided cages on both sides, are those for safety?
Yeah, it's the sad fact of travelling on trains that anywhere in the world, stupid people throw stones, and so it's for the safety of the passengers.
A lot of tunnels. I see another one coming up.
Yeah. The tunnels are really important on this line because, of course, during the American War, it was crucially important that they kept the trains running, supplying the military and other supplies through to Hanoi. And obviously, when the American bombing was at its height, sometimes the trains were already running along the lines. So they devised a unique system whereby they would go from tunnel to tunnel and keep the train in the tunnel until the bomb would pass. Simply they store them there because, of course, the aircraft couldn't see what was going on clearly from above, so to all intents and purposes there were no trains on the line.
Trains were still operating, even though they were... Oh, now we're on a bridge. Now we're on a bridge.
The Americans did target a lot of bridges here. Because once the bridges were out, as far as the Americans were concerned, that was it. The line was not operational. They devised what they called ghost bridges, which were pontoons that they float on the river. So they lay track on top of the pontoon. And then they'd lead some track down from the railway line to the riverbank. So the train would roll down onto the pontoon and then they'd float the train across the river, back onto the track again. And of course this was done at night. So in the morning at first light, these pontoons would be floated away, the bombers came over, they could just see that the bridges were out. So as far as they were concerned, it wasn't operating. No idea what that was.
Is this a station here?
This is...
I say goodbye to Tim here in Kep. He's continuing down to Hanoi, but I've decided to take a quick detour to Thanh Nguyen, the place that headed America's list of locations to flatten during the war. Kep used to be a major rail crossroads, but today you have to drive the 60 kilometers west to Thanh Nguyen.
Nowadays, steam engines are almost whispers of legend. Where they used to abound, now they're replaced with diesel or electric locomotives. But I'm told they still exist, and this is the place to see them.
In 1959, Thanh Nguyen became the site for the country's first steel mill, promoting Vietnam's industrial activities to one of Asia's forerunners, making it an important economic stronghold. Trains were vital to shift the molten metal around the factory. The steelworks of Thanh Nguyen formed the last stand of steam in Vietnam.
Around 2.5 tons of charcoal are needed for a single steam train to run 5 or 6 hours. Due to the high cost and the slow speed compared to diesel trains, this steel factory only brings out these beauties when it's extra busy. Wow, look at this one. A monster. So sturdy.
Steam trains run at just 35% efficiency of the newer diesel trains, and sadly, today isn't busy, so all the steam trains are on downtime. Instead, I'm jumping on this Russian locomotive with Mr. Vin, who's doing the rounds of the factory.
What are we doing right now? Where are we going?
Đồ bãi nước là chúng tôi có dùng nhưng mà hiện hiện tại là chúng tôi không dùng nữa, tại vì chạy đầu máy hơi nước là tốn kém, không hiệu quả. Bây giờ dùng đầu máy diesel.
Working in this steel factory is dirty and dangerous. It is in this blast furnace that the raw materials of sandstone, coal, and iron ore are loaded, only to erupt.
Whoa, here we go. Let it flow, look at that. So what's happening here? What's the step of the process of...
Công đoạn này là sau khi quặng đã được đưa vào lò cao và luyện thành gang, gang là chảy ra lò và sau công đoạn này là nước gang được chuyển sang nhà máy luyện thép để tinh luyện thành thép.
The liquid iron is channeled so it flows directly into the smelting pots on the train.
What do we do with this iron liquid?
Đầu máy chúng tôi sang lò cao lấy nước gang nóng vào sang luyện thép và đổ vào lò trung gian để phục vụ cho luyện thép.
To turn the liquid iron into steel, oxygen needs to be blown through the molten liquid.
Wow, look at that. That's spectacular. Wow, it's beautiful. Magnificent. That is like the best fireworks show ever. Woo!
From this oven, it is poured into different shaped molds, later left to cool down to become the final product of construction materials.
Whoa, look how dramatic that is. All that smoke and water. That was cool. Exciting, huh?
Back in Kep, the morning's train is being loaded up.
All right, well, this is different.
I was expecting to be on a passenger train, but that doesn't appear to be the case at all.
This is a proper train ride right here.
I'm taking the train to the coastal town of Halom. I then head across Halom Bay to the major port of Haiphong. Selling fresh produce is vital for the farmers in Vietnam's rural communities. And the best way to get their produce to market is by train.
Golly, they must really have been here hours ago preparing for this. Only have a couple minutes to get all this on.
In order to reduce journey times, stops at stations have been cut to just 2 or 3 minutes rather than upgrading the lines.
Never seen so many cucumbers in one place in my life. Goodness. This is hard work. So heavy. All right, let the cucumber party begin. Whew. Huh? Oh, you need help? Okay. All right, ready? You lift this? You lift this? Backbreaking. Show me how you lift this. Show me. Oh my gosh! Wow! Wow! Very strong. That's crazy. Bye. Thanks for all the cucumbers.
As much of a lifeline as this railway is for the people around here, this rail line and its carriages have not been renewed for decades, but the locomotive has. Previously a reconfigured shunter, these days it's a bona fide railroad locomotive. But there's one more area that's in desperate need of an upgrade. With no radios in sight, communications is one of the most outstanding issues. Everything is manual.
What is this? What is the ring for?
Cái thẻ đường này là để dùng cho đoàn tàu làm chứng vật chạy vào khu gian để đảm bảo thiết bị đảm bảo an toàn để một đoàn tàu vào khu gian.
Old school.
If the train driver needs to know anything, the station master will replace this ring with a different one that has a handwritten note on it. The entire Vietnamese railway network is single track, which means that when another train is coming in the opposite direction, one train needs to pull off into a bypass. Without any communication, these two trains would just hurtle into each other, albeit at just 30 miles an hour. It's not just other trains that are in danger of being hit, though. Hardly a week goes by without a train colliding with a person or road vehicle somewhere on the network. Last year, there were 471 accidents, killing 224 people. One of Vietnam Railway's biggest problems is with their railway crossings. There are 7,000 across the whole network, but only 1,000 were built legally, and only a third of them have proper barriers separating the track and the road. If this station is anything to go by, this railway line is about to get a full-on overhaul. Maybe it will finally be brought into the modern age.
Woo! A lot of people. Let the madness begin. Wow, this is incredible. It may seem like a strange place to hold a market, but actually it's the perfect place because the train leaves in the morning, brings everybody and all the produce here, waits for it all day, and then takes everybody back home. It's awesome.
With the market drawing to a close, it's time for me to find a ride across the famous Ha Lam Bay to the port city of Haiphong on the other side. Ha Lam Bay was heavily mined by the Americans during the Vietnam War to prevent ammunition arriving from other communist countries. The Vietnamese have always been fighting off invaders here, and according to legend, this started as early as the foundation of the country. In the 19th century, the enemy was the French.
The main port of Haiphong here made its way into history books in November 1946, when a dispute over customs controls erupted between the French troops and soldiers of the newly formed Democratic Republic of Vietnam.
Shots were exchanged over a Chinese junk suspected of smuggling, and the French replied with a naval bombardment of Haiphong's Vietnamese quarter, killing over 6,000 people. The two nations were now set for the Indochina War. It was a war the French were destined to lose. Vietnam had seen a glimpse of independence, and the fight was theirs to win.
Smells good. What do we got? French spaghetti. Yes, I'll take one of those, please. That's like vegetables in the tempura base. Sweet chili. The barbecue. Thank you. Come on. Okay. Come on.
Thank you.
That's good. Still don't know what it is. I like it. There is something else beyond the baguettes and the impressive colonial architecture that the French left the Vietnamese that would transform their country forever, the railway system. In fact, everybody wanted to become part of the railway, and working for the railway was a lucrative job, and all the ladies even had a saying amongst themselves that if you want to be buried in Ham Rong, which was this posh cemetery with great feng shui, you better find yourself a railway man for a husband. The colonial era was great for Vietnam's railways. From when the first line was inaugurated in 1881 to the defeat of the French in 1954, rail travel grew steadily. After the French lost, the Geneva Conference divided Vietnam into the Communist North and the anti-Communist South. This had a major effect on the railways, and they fell into disrepair. This train is going to take me all the way to the capital of Vietnam, Hanoi. This line is the most recently upgraded of all Vietnam's railways, and it was about time. It was annihilated in the Vietnam War. retired train driver Mr. Tring risked his life to keep the Northern Railway lines operational during these hostile years.
What was it like driving trains in the war?
Vì chiến tranh là các tài xế là khi lên đã đoàn tàu là phải chịu hy sinh, chứ không thể bỏ được. Vì cái đoàn tàu ấy là đoàn tàu là toàn bộ trách nhiệm là đổ lên cái vai của các tài xế để phải chở những cái đoàn tàu ấy về tới đích.
Were you in any close calls or big explosions?
Ngược lại như thế là bom Mỹ hôm mới là thả B-52, đánh như thế là chiều ngang 5 cây số, chiều dài 10 cây, thả B-52. Ngày 23 tháng 12 1972, lúc 21 giờ 49 phút là cái B-52 bắt đầu đánh ra đồng mỏ. Anh đồng đội tôi cùng với tôi thì tôi lên kiểm tra máy, anh đồng đội tôi vào bước xuống máy thì đi vào trong chỗ ấy thì bị hy sinh. Tôi chỉ bị bom nó vùi lấp, bị thương. Nhưng mà so với đồng đội thì tôi hắn còn may mắn là tôi còn sống đến ngày hôm nay.
Sounds horrific. Weren't you scared?
Thời kỳ chiến tranh thì bọn tôi bước lên máy, tức là bước lên tàu là nhận nhiệm vụ, tức là dù có hy sinh cũng vẫn cứ phải là tiến chứ không lùi. Và chúng tôi ví là mặc báo đạn mưa bom. Chúng tôi vẫn cứ ví là lạc quan, muốn là phố làng trôi dưới sóng. Tức là bọn tôi đi để tiến lên chứ không lùi.
Wow, you're a warrior.
Well, that puts my train journeys into perspective. Long Bien is one of the poorest areas of Hanoi. Yet this bridge is a famous monument of the city. Designed by Eiffel, it was once the longest in Indochina.
Hanoi icon in all senses. Long Bien Bridge was one of the greatest engineering accomplishments of the French colonial period in Vietnam. And in the Vietnam War, it became a symbol of the Vietnamese resistance.
As the controversial war against communism grew increasingly fierce, America focused on destroying the country's infrastructure. This bridge was repeatedly bombed by America and then repaired by the Viet Minh.
Long Bien Bridge isn't just an icon of the past defiance of Hanoi, it's also a symbol of the resilience of its people today.
The section of rail track leading from Long Bien Station to the main station in the city's center passes through the Old Quarter, a dense residential area.
Houses here are so close to the track, the residents run a real risk of getting hit if they so much as pop their heads out at the wrong time. Xin chào. I guess they get to know the schedule pretty well, though. Wow, that was exciting. I think if I was a baby, I'd be changing my nappies right about now. And then, now it's back to life as normal.
One person that does know the schedule well is Colin Pierce. He runs photography tours relating to the railway tracks and the life alongside them.
This is a brilliant idea to do a tour along the tracks. Who started that? How'd you come up with that?
Well, you know, like this is kind of an obvious kind of thing to do. It's a slice of life, you know, as we walk through the tracks, you'd see the houses are right beside the tracks. And,
so lots of life happens along the tracks.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably one of the quietest parts, believe it or not, of Hanoi. No cars go down here.
Walking along here, it's easy to forget that this track is actually in use.
They do the trains very early in the morning or very late at night because, as you can see, it's very busy. It'll block the whole of Hanoi up here. You'll have just thousands of cars.
The train works around the city schedule.
Yeah, when the trains get blocked up here, you can see the smoke, and it just becomes a nightmare for everybody. Even at night, this street will be chock-a-block. You see when they pull out the barriers, there's motorbikes trying to get around.
Trying to get through it.
Yeah, so that's pretty crazy, yeah. It's a real hassle, you know, because they tried to stop them and people still want to cross.
No respect.
No respect.
These
at
trains
all,
get no respect anymore, right?
As you can see, like, there's a lot of people working on the tracks. People have gardens. Look at this guy. This is very, very Vietnamese. In the middle of a city, your own private garden.
Yeah.
Stuff.
You'd never think that living right along the tracks, you would have access to fresh garden food.
Yeah, I mean,
but here it is. This is normal for life on the tracks.
People work along here, not only for the peace in this frenetic city, but also to use the track to help contain their prized recycling.
You can see a lot of workers coming up here who are recycling, and it keeps like the city clean. And there's a lot of people employed in that, you know.
Official or unofficial?
No, it's official. They'll be doing all the metal and break down cans and tin, and a lot of people come up here recycling newspaper, sold by the kilo, makes people money.
It's good for the city.
It's good, yeah, it's great for the city. Okay, nice. Yeah, so.
There's no better way to end the day here in Hanoi than with a beer, as a train rumbles overhead.
We're good. Come back to
Okay. It's like, okay, so together. Simon.
Just gonna take a quick look around in here. This is the biggest train workshop in the country, and I hear they welcome help. Wow, look at this old steam engine. That is a beautiful work of art. Actually, this is a really special train because it was built here in Vietnam in 1965. And when I say built here, it's actually assembled here. All the parts and components were imported. But this is the last surviving decommissioned train in Vietnam. All the other disused trains, including the French imports from the 19th century, have all been destroyed because that's what they do around here. But not this one. This one's been saved.
This workshop, Za Lam, was built in 1905 to maintain rail carriages and locomotives.
Basically, these guys have gutted this whole train car, and you can see here what it did look like. They're covering it up with this boards, and they're cutting a little hole for the vent, and we're gonna hammer it up with these little nails. Pretty basic stuff.
It's very basic. This overhaul takes a full month to complete, but the repairs only last 5 years before the process needs to be repeated. This carriage is already about 40 years old.
Man, these poor trains never get a break. No matter how old, how decrepit, how many miles they've gone back and forth all their lifetime, they get sat on the bench, reworked with an overhaul, and then put right back out into the field. I feel pretty good I got to help contribute a little bit. I'm riding these things all the time, aren't I?
I'm heading to the station. It's time for me to leave Hanoi.
All right, this is gonna be interesting. Here is the place to get the immediate train to. Perfect. Hello. Hello. I need a ticket from here to Hue. Yeah. It's full. Is it possible to... the ticket office. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. Hi, do you have any more tickets to Hue? Number 3, okay. Oh, so frustrating. I just want to buy a ticket to Hue, right? It shouldn't be that difficult. I need a ticket today to go to Hue.
Hue?
Yeah.
Now?
Yeah.
Only standing room?
Standing room only. That is 15 hours to stand. But you know what? Yeah, I'll do it.
It's time to board the train. I wonder how close this one is to needing an overhaul. I leave Hanoi and join the main North-South Railway for a 15-hour journey to Hue.
This is it, the famous Reunification Express line, which did just that, actually. It connected Hanoi in the north to Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City in the south. The very first Reunification Express train ran in December 1976 to celebrate the win over the Americans in the Vietnam War. That's pretty awesome. It's still running, and I'm on it right now.
The 1,072 miles line was established during the French colonial rule and was completed over a period of nearly 40 years. Originally, the journey took 60 hours, although it was quickly brought down to 40. 70 years later, it still takes around 40 hours to do the entire journey.
Alright, this is gonna be interesting. I guess I just grab an area. This kid's cute. Hello. Anybody sitting here? Got an extra seat? Yeah? Oh, wow. Really? You okay with that? Oh, I'm so excited I don't have to stand the whole time. Zay, nice to meet you.
It's been 5 hours and people are set in for sleep, but my stomach's ready for a feed.
Well, you work up an appetite getting here, that's for sure. Summertime. This is very festive in here. Look at that. Beautiful. Wow. Chicken and rice, chili, sauce, vegetables, hard-boiled egg, soup. Okay. Looks good. Pretty good, actually. What the heck? This egg is bleeding. This is not a hard-boiled egg. This is a half-hatched egg. It's famous here in Vietnam. Look at this. Oh, this thing was ready to come out and see the world. Instead, it's seeing the inside of my mouth. Oh, come on. Seriously? I could unravel it and you'll see a full duck. Oh, God. I gotta just do it all in one go. It's the bones. Those are feathers. Here we go. Oh! Thank you.
Now I guess it's time to join the sleeping masses.
The seat I was in wasn't really mine, and this guy got in. So, guess I'll sit here. You sit here? You have the rice whiskey? Yeah, you smell it. What is that? Look at this. Let me show them. Look, show the camera. Oh! He's got a dress on, and the cop is pulling him. Clearly a drunk episode. Okay, I'm gonna go sleep over there, yeah? Is it opened up? Thank you for showing me those pictures. I feel closer to you. I've still got 7 more hours on this thing. That's the way to do it when you're this tall. That's much good. Yeah, now we're talking. Oh. Who am I kidding?
2 a.m. The light is still on, and everyone else appears to be asleep. I'm still struggling.
Oh man, this is on the verge of torturous.
It's 4 a.m., and I've had next to no sleep. Luckily, it's my stop, Hue.
Oh, I made it. I'm officially south of the DMZ. So I had this idealized vision that the southern tracks were going to be nice and smooth, you know, because they weren't being bombed by the Americans like they were in the north. But down here, the Viet Cong was sabotaging these tracks.
This sabotage was commonly caused by high explosive mines planted under the tracks in the jungle. The line was always a major military supply link and was a main target of the Viet Cong. Over the course of just 3 years, hundreds of trains were mined with a staggering casualty rate. Yet, despite this sabotage, the Vietnamese government continued operating the line at any cost.
Today, this French-built railway is still constantly under repair. with just a single rail track, the only time the workers have to complete their maintenance is between trains, which can run up to 30 times a day. How does any work get done?
This tunnel is in the process of being repaired. The team are on standby in the nearest station and have invited me to join them on their next work stint. All the workers live on site during this project. They have to be ready at all times.
Mr. Chow?
Mr. Chow is the engineer in charge.
So, what kind of work are we doing here today?
Hiện tại là chúng tôi đã gia cố cái vỏ hầm số 6. Thế là 6 chuyến tàu này là được lệnh phong tỏa không gian là chúng ta đi làm việc được rồi.
Vâng. Let's go, you guys are ready. He's actually looking out the window, driving this thing. I can't even see the front of this thing. So if anything is in front of us, sorry. This is amazing. So you actually bring the train here and stand on it. All your tools and materials are here, so you don't have to haul them in and out each day because there's no room in the tunnel.
Over 100 years old, this tunnel has been repaired countless times, and it doesn't get any easier.
We're drilling into the earth so that we can put these pegs in and hold up these iron nets, they call it. And these all overlap so that it just really reinforces. Okay, get ready for some dust. Get taste it. You're the supervisor. You stand here and watch it all. You're smart. Wow, it's really hot and sweaty and dusty and dark. It's a lot of work maintaining this tunnel. But thank God the train's here. I don't know how you do this without it.
Here in central Vietnam, Hue is a blend of old and new. It's a popular place to break up a long train journey as it provides a perfect base to explore the history of the region. It doesn't take a genius to work out that two-wheeled vehicles are the most popular mode of transport around here, and I'm going to join the crowd today. I'm interested in the recent history of Vietnam, so Mr. Tu is taking me on a ride into the DMZ, or Demilitarized Zone.
How far are we going today?
About 220 kilometers.
Oh wow, that's it's gonna be a few hours, huh?
No.
No?
More. About 6 or 7 hours.
The DMZ was a war-free zone that made up the former border between North and South Vietnam. We travel along the Ho Chi Minh Trail to the Khe San Combat Base, and then east to end the day at Truong Son Cemetery.
So is this the Ho Chi Minh Trail we're on right now?
Yeah, this now is the East Ho Chi Minh Trail.
They turned it into a road. I would have thought it was much more covered, you know, because it was very hidden.
Yeah.
During the war.
Yeah. We have to open from 1959.
With the railway continuously under attack, the trail quickly became the main supply route for the Viet Cong in the south. Americans deployed the chemical Agent Orange to clear the forests around the suspected Ho Chi Minh Trail. It also severely affected the people who were based in the area.
Some people, he had to work in the war. He get married, then he born the kids. Every kid gets sick, you know.
Oh, the kids got sick as well?
Yeah, and they get sick now also.
And so people are still getting sick from the Agent Orange?
Yeah.
That was dropped during the war?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Communities south of Hue are still giving birth to children with severe defects, both physical and mental. Professionals think that this will continue for generations to come.
This is Khe San. This is where the U.S. set up a combat base because it was close to the Ho Chi Minh Trail and they thought they could patrol it nicely from here. So by 1968, they moved in almost 7,000 U.S. Marine troops. The northern Vietnamese saw this as an obvious target and decided to attack. But what they didn't account for was that the U.S. had access to the air. And so they dropped over 100,000 tons of bombs within the next few months in the surrounding areas. And still, the Vietnamese kept coming. This is where the bloodiest attack in the history of the Vietnam War took place.
Eventually, the U.S. decided to close down the base, considering it in the way of further progression against the communists. The Vietnamese saw this as a major win.
Look at all these flags. This for Reunification Day?
Yeah, Reunification Day.
Big celebration, banners. You see this all along the countryside on the road. But you're happy that the Vietnam united.
Yeah, I'm happy. I like it. I don't like it the war, you know.
Nobody likes war.
And I say now in the world, no people win.
Nobody wins with war.
Nobody win. They die.
The Vietnam War cost an estimated $200 billion and around 5 million people's lives. It's not a win to be celebrated. Instead, the Vietnamese focus on their liberation. We've come to Vietnam's National War Cemetery to pay our respects to the fallen, alongside many of their relatives. The cemetery houses the remains of 10,000 North Vietnamese Army and Viet Cong fighters, as well as civilians who were killed during the war. Each of the tombstones here has the words of Ho Chi Minh inscribed. There is nothing compared to freedom and independence.
It's 4 in the morning and I'm back at the station. This time I really lucked out, got myself a sleeper. And I'm going straight to bed as soon as I get on that thing. As this gets tired.
This is the last leg of my journey, taking me through the night to reach Ho Chi Minh City. Tired or not, sleep is definitely easier said than done on this train.
They have this thing here in their culture where if you want to show how good food is, you smack your mouth as you eat. A couple down here having a wonderful breakfast, and from the sound of it, it was lovely. Really, really delicious.
With sleep out of the question, I'm going to need to find other ways to entertain myself for the next 15 hours.
Hello.
Hello.
Ticket.
Ticket, yes.
This is good, actually, because you see a lot of people playing musical chairs throughout the journey.
Conductors play an important role in keeping the peace here on the train, a role reflected by the Reunification Express itself.
And it's because of this line that the country feels united, isn't it?
Dạ đúng rồi, đường sắt Bắc Nam là đỡ nối liền giữa Bắc và Nam lại với nhau. Đường sắt thống nhất đỡ cho nối lại giữa Bắc và Nam, đỡ thống nhất lại thành một nhà như ngày xưa.
Turns out, there's really not much you can do in these sleepers, apart from keep yourself amused and pray sleep will eventually come.
Night, night.
Ho Chi Minh City exudes French colonial charm at every corner and is still locally known as Saigon. It's Vietnam's second most important city after Hanoi, and its busy streets certainly show that with a population of over 7 million people, it is definitely the country's biggest city.
Ho Chi Minh City is closely tied to the struggle for the independence and freedom of Vietnam. Formerly Saigon, the capital of the anti-communist, American-supported South Vietnam, this is where the Americans were finally defeated by Ho Chi Minh's army, and the city renamed in honor of their revolutionary leader, Uncle Ho.
I'm honored to have the company of General Thai, a leader of the Vietnam Army in charge of the troops who came and captured Saigon on the 30th of April, 1975.
You were here on the day that the North took over the South, right here behind us. What was your role exactly?
Tôi lúc đó là phó chính ủy sư đoàn bộ binh 7 tiến công từ hướng Đông thuộc quân đoàn 4. Còn đối với chúng tôi ở hướng Đông thì nhiệm vụ của đơn vị tôi là đánh chiếm cái dinh độc lập.
So you gave the order to attack.
Mà như thế tức là gồm có 15 sư đoàn bộ binh. Nhiều đơn vị binh chủng và pháo binh, xe tăng. Thì như thế tức là chúng tôi đã đánh chiếm hoàn toàn ở đây vào từ 9 giờ cho đến 11 giờ 30 thì đã tắm cờ chiến thắng trên nóc dinh độc lập và báo hiệu sự toàn thắng của chính phủ Hồ Chí Minh. Lúc đó coi như là miền Nam cũng đã được hoàn toàn giải phóng. Diễn biến của ngày hôm đó thì nó chỗ này là đông suốt ngày, suốt từ buổi sáng cho đến đêm khuya ở khu vực này đông này.
Wow. This day, April 30th, 1975, became one of the most historic days of the 20th century. After the palace was taken, panicked Vietnamese connected to the old regime stormed the gates of the American embassy, hoping to find sanctuary. The lucky ones were airlifted from the rooftop by helicopters, which were later dramatically dumped overboard when they landed on aircraft carriers waiting off the coast.
What did the victory mean to you personally?
Lúc đó thì trong đầu óc nhiều suy nghĩ lắm. Thứ nhất là bây giờ thì mình tức là còn sống nhưng mà nhiều anh em đã mất, nhiều đồng chí cũng đã hy sinh. Thế bây giờ còn lại còn mình thì cái đó là cũng là một cái điều băn khoăn rồi nhé. Và thứ hai tôi cũng nghĩ là tôi sẽ chắc chắn là được gặp gia đình, cũng như những em khác là chắc chắn sẽ được gặp gia đình. Vì 10 năm rồi, có thể dân tộc Việt Nam ấy là đã giành lại được độc lập, thống nhất và toàn vẹn lãnh thổ, kể cả vùng đất, vùng trời, vùng biển và thềm lục địa ở Việt Nam. Nhân dân Việt Nam thì có thể là từ Bắc chí Nam đều phấn khởi. Bởi vì cả nước Việt Nam, cả dân tộc Việt Nam ấy, già, trẻ, gái, trai đều tham gia cái chiến đấu để mà chống quân xâm lược và các bọn tay sai để giành độc lập. Mà bây giờ đã thực hiện được thì tức là mọi người đều phấn khởi. Ở miền Bắc cũng thế và cả miền Nam cũng thế.
Ho Chi Minh and his supporters fought hard for the unification of this country. And after years of bitter conflict and division, the rail network here remains the real symbol of its reunification. And just as Ho Chi Minh City marked the end of war in Vietnam, so too does it mark the end of my journey here. Tạm biệt, Vietnam.